Now, when it comes down to learned behaviors, the individuals may not always recognize it. Why? Because you come up in a certain environment where everyone is just like you. That behavior is accepted where you come from. So you find that when you move on and you move to different states and you surround yourself with different people who think differently from you, now you stick out like a sore thumb. Now you're like red wine on white carpet. Those characteristics are disgusting. People point those out. They keep you from getting jobs. They keep you from getting promotions. It's because these learned behaviors are actually terrible for you, but you don't really realize it because it's something that you always seen. No one really ever called it out. You guys just kind of like dealt with it. But if we really think about it, if you've been dealing with the same issue for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, and these characteristics that you've learned from your childhood are destroying your relationships, they're destroying your opportunities, something is wrong. You are, in fact, unable to properly deal. Dysfunction. Ooh, dysfunction. When people are dysfunctional, they have a hard time living without it. People in this category, just to give an example, you might find that they prefer to tear up a good and happy home, break up a marriage, as opposed to establishing a fresh relationship from ground up. They look to befriend people who are terrible for their lives. They tend to get in relationships and circumstances that are not good. They have to have the hecticness going on. They have to have the chaos in order to make it, in order to survive. And you may look at it and say, well, that's strange, but not in their world, because you find that in many cases, these are learned behaviors. So if you come from a household where you saw your parents deal improperly, they didn't talk, they didn't communicate, but they handled their problems through drinking. They handled their problems through physical altercations, blowing up, things like this. You will find that a child, they continue to see this, and as they develop, these same characteristics that they despise as a child, now they're an adult, and these same demons have followed them and have inhibited their lives. Dysfunctional people tend to lose opportunities. They tend to destroy relationships. They are not loyal, but help is out there. This is the blessing and the benefit of having a great coach, therapist, counselor, pastor, mentor. And this is the thing. People tend to say, oh, I don't want to go to a shrink. I'm not crazy. I can deal with my problems. But this is the thing. If you've been carrying on in these same characteristics for 15 years or more, 10 years, 5 years, you're constantly fighting, getting into these altercations. You're trying to drink your problems away. You're dealing with the illicit drugs. And just going on this tangent, something is wrong. There is an inability for you to deal. And if you can go and sit down with the primary doctor, and they're going to ask you the same questions. Tell me about the issues that's in your family history. They're asking you because it will better help them to develop a relationship with you and help them advise you on how you need to lead your life as far as your nutrition, your diet, your exercise, how you need to think, what you need to shy away from. A good primary physician will help you do those things. So will a life coach. So will a really good mentor or a counselor. And not only should you just look for credentialing, but when you're looking for a good counselor or therapist, you need to look for someone who has a great score with other people. Someone who has a history, a great track record of helping people. Because to heck with all of the temporary fixes, the antidepressants. And not that I'm against antidepressants, but I am against anything that just continues to suppress the problem and people are not finding solutions. People are not getting better. But a good therapist, a good counselor, pastor, mentor, these folks who really care about the spiritual, mental, and emotional wellness of people, they will get down to the bottom of the issue. They will ask you, what type of home did you come from? What were the issues that bothered you as a child? What makes you upset? They will ask you these questions, and they can construct a life plan, give you some homework to go home and take care of on a weekly or monthly basis so that you can get better. But if you never detect the problem, if you cannot admit it, acknowledge it, how do you expect to get better? Aren't you tired of the temporary fixes? Aren't you tired of doing everything that is sending you down a downward spiral? It's not helping you. It's making you feel worse about yourself. It's destroying your marriage. It's destroying your opportunities at work. You will never get promoted with those type of characteristics. You need to get the anger under control. You need to go and talk with someone. And I highly recommend coach therapy, because it will get you at a level in your mind that antidepressants and the normal way of dealing will not. Coach therapy will give you a permanent solution. It will not only put you in a place where you have to keep going back, but no, if you get the right person and they can help you map out a plan, and you can sit there and be serious about yourself and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, you'll get to a point to where you're able to progress individually. The coach will take you only so far before you realize you're just like a rocket. You're just soaring on up in the sky. That's what good coach therapy would do for you. It will take the training wheels off and put you on the road to independence so that you can better manage and facilitate your own life. Now, before I wrap this up, I want each and every one of you tuning in to understand we all come from various backgrounds in life. And whether you know it or not, you are not the only one. The abuse and the suffering that you have walked through, someone else has walked through the very same thing, if not worse. So I want you to understand that if you are still alive today and you can still hear me, you still have an opportunity to get your life on track. It is not too late. You still have gifts, talents, and skill that you can provide to mankind, to society, to the world around you. You still have a lot of good to see, a lot of living to do. But if you look defeated, if you act defeated, if you think you are defeated, you are indeed defeated. Because that's what you say. That's the way that you think. And regardless to what I tell you, regardless to what anyone else says, including a coach, if you don't want to help yourself, if you don't want to get better, if you don't want to believe that you can rise above what happened to you 16 years ago, then you never will. Today is a new day. Yesterday is gone. Yeah, you might still think about who took advantage of you. Yeah, you might still think about the person who called you ugly and told you you were fat. You wouldn't make it far because no one else in your family did. So what makes you different? It's time to squash all that, and it's trying to make some new changes, some new moves in life that will get you to the next level. Find you a good coach, a good mentor, leader, pastor, anyone of that capacity who really cares about the mental, spiritual wellness of you, of people. Look at their track record and see if you can find someone that's going to help you get to the next level of thinking. As always, I really appreciate you for tuning in, and give your absolute best to life, because life definitely wants to give it to you. Thanks.